And welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news, takeover news, general news show. John Murtough exit pretty much confirmed tonight. He is on the way out as Ineos come in. We'll discuss the latest on that, and actually a surprise potential that could be replacing John Murtough. Manchester United have got a reported new striker transfer target. This is a transfer target that I'm a big fan of, a lot better than Donyell Marlin, Werner, other players we've been linked to, but I also think this player is going to ruin his career if he comes to Man United to play striker, because he's a great young player and he's going to get no service. Almost for this guy's career, I don't want him to come to United because he's a good young player. A bit like Højlund, good young player from Serie A. But we will talk about Joshua Zirkzee, who Manchester United are looking at the latest news on that, where it's coming from. I think the source that is saying it actually has been pretty credible in the past, but obviously with United transfer news, you have to always take it with a pinch of salt, because who knows what we're going to do in January. But Fabrizio Romano did come out 2 days ago and say he expects Manchester United to make movement in the January window as well. So everybody, if you could hit that like button, be greatly appreciated, and of course subscribe down below if you're new. Merry Christmas to everybody in the chat celebrating as well. I hope you had a good day. Let's dive into the news. Let's dive into the information. Let's dive into the stories going about as well. This is the reality of United. Any up and coming future prospect becomes washed up and mediocre. I almost feel like this guy is such a good young up-and-coming talent that I'd love Man United to sign, but I'm like, please do not go anywhere near Manchester United or Chelsea for your own career. I should not be saying that as a Manchester United fan, but I do feel like that right now. He's played 17 matches in Serie A this season with 7 goals and 2 assists, 9 goal contributions. Born in 2001, is 22 years of age, and is probably the Netherlands' best chance of getting a proper number 9. So let's get into the transfer news. Then we'll get into the John Murtough news. It is another Dutch player, but he is a good talent. He is a good talent. So let's get into the transfer news as well, and then we'll talk about John Murtough, all of that stuff. Let me know your thoughts in the chat as well. So he is a Dutch number 9, Joshua Zirkzee. He was at Bayern Munich. He's now at FC Bulgarna, and it has been said by 2 different sources of information over the last 2 days. This came out yesterday. Then there was a story that came out on the 22nd by, can't remember who it was, but said the same thing basically. And they said Manchester United are no longer looking at Zirkzee. However, FC Bulgarna striker Joshua Zirkzee has moved high up their list. Now, this guy is someone that would be in the long-term project. I've said this, and this is my sort of thought process on Manchester United and potential signings. I've been saying this for a while. I've been saying I want Man United's January signings to be people that are in the 5-year plan. I don't want us signing Werners or Donyell Marlins to get us through to the end of the season who are not good enough, and when they're going to get no service, they're not going to. There's no point. Like, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm thinking sign a right winger before you sign a striker, because it doesn't matter if Højlund's playing in the middle, Martial's playing in the middle, Rashford's playing middle. We could even put bloody Prime Ronaldo in the middle. It doesn't matter who's playing in the middle. Prime Ronaldo's a different breed. You probably still get a hat-trick. But it doesn't matter who's playing in the middle for United. They're not going to score goals because we're not creating. Match of the day showed it. Match of the day summed it up. Garnacho's averaging 1 pass a game to our striker. Anthony's averaging 1 pass a game to our striker. Rashford is probably averaging 2.5, 3 passes a game to our striker, which is a lot better than the rest of the squad. But our striker is getting no service, so I'm at the point where, okay, spend 15 million on Werner, who's proven that he can't do it in the Premier League. He's not good enough. It's a short-term solution, and it's going to get no service, so it's not going to be good enough anyway. I do feel like with Man United and transfer targets, I want to be signing someone that's in the 5-year plan. I don't want us to do any signings in January if it's a bit part player like Weghorst again, or Sabitzer again, or Galo again. If it's someone like Todibo, who we know is going to be in Ten Hag's 5-year plan, boom, get him in January. If it's someone like Joshua Zirkzee, who could be in Ten Hag's 5-year plan, boom, get him in January. I'm not a big fan of getting a striker in January because I think a right winger is more important. But at the end of the day, I do think that this is a good player. I just worry he comes to United, he gets no service, and we realise the problem isn't the striker, it's the system, it's the McTominay obsession when he's playing as a number 10 and he's not being creative, which means Bruno can't create. It's the wingers. It's all of these problems at United. But I think Joshua Zirkzee, I'm very open to United exploring and potentially doing this move, because you know that he would be in Manchester United 5-year plan, just like Todibo, just like Marcus Leonardo, Nico Williams, Amadou Onana. I don't want to be signing Werners or Donyell Marlins, players that I know that Ten Hag will want out the door. I want people that I know are in Ten Hag's 5-year plan. Everybody, Merry Christmas. Do hit that like button if you have not already. We will talk about tomorrow's game. I'll probably have a match preview out tomorrow morning, and then I'll be live about 7:45 tomorrow for the Aston Villa game. And I have to tell you, I don't know if you saw that viral tweet. There was a tweet that went viral, and it was basically Aston Villa were basically tweeting out about the game tomorrow today, and someone quote tweeted it and just said, "Hey, can we just give you the 3 points and not play the game instead?" And I feel a bit like that, to be honest. Ahead of tomorrow's game, I just feel like, you know what, let's just give them the 3 points. Let's just give them a 3 points, call it a day. I'm not mentally prepared to watch us get battered by Villa. It does feel like that. I don't feel confident whatsoever, especially with the fact that we haven't scored a goal in our last 4 games. I do think, though, Villa will fancy it. Villa will see our form, fancy it, fancy a win, and maybe they'll go for it and leave some space in behind. We might actually be able to break down Aston Villa. But to be honest, it was Man United is like watching paint dry at the moment. I hate to be so negative, but it really is like watching paint dry. But we will get into the Villa game at the end of the stream as well. You're more excited for someone who has never scored more goals than Marlon because he's like 21 years of age and he's a young talent that's got quality in him, to be honest, as well. Look, I'm not. For me, if I was going to do a signing in January, I would go for Todibo ahead of a striker. I would get Todibo, I'd get that centre back boom ticked off. Even though Maguire probably be fit, Varane probably fit, and Martinez probably be fit, so the Todibo thing might not be a need in January. If I was United, I would probably go for someone that is available at a good price in a 5-year plan like Todibo in January. Potentially, I'd look at Amadou Onana in January. I mean, if I could control what we were going to do, I'd go for Bakayoko, Sule, or Nico Williams in January. I think our priority in January really should be a right winger because we're losing Sancho. Pelistri, I think, will end up being a Fulham player. Good young lad, but I think he'll be a Fulham player. And I think Amad Diallo is a massive risk with his injury, and he likes to play quite narrow. Ten Hag likes to stretch the width, and Anthony's not good enough. Personally, myself, I go for a right winger. Kubo for Anthony is the latest one. Yeah, Kubo for Anthony's. I'm a big fan of Kubo, but with the way we're playing right now, does he suit? I mean, this is the thing. When we're linked to players, I think the way we play right now is going to ruin this player. And then the way Ten Hag wants to play, is this guy going to work in the way Ten Hag wants to play? And then we're linked to this player, and I'm thinking, what's Ten Hag doing? This is the thing. I can't tell you how I feel about the Kubo signing. As much as I think Kubo is a great right winger, I can't tell you how I feel about the Kubo signing until I know for sure how would Ten Hag play and how does Ten Hag plan to utilise him. Someone said Zirkzee isn't good enough, wouldn't go near. I mean, I think he's a good player. He's better than the other options. He's not someone that I'm like, yes, we must go all out for him. But with a £35 million release clause, I do think it's not too bad of a deal for Zirkzee. Playing McTominay as a striker would probably be more use there than in the midfield. He just restrains to the midfield because I always feel like we've got one less player in midfield because of McTominay as well. All big 6 clubs are going for number 9 in January. Yeah, lots of people are in for Tony. I know Arsenal and Chelsea want a number 9. Liverpool might look for a number 9 ahead of the next window, but their priority is DM. Tottenham are looking more at centre-backs, to be honest, but Tottenham will be looking for probably a number 9 ahead of next season as well. There's a shortage of number 9s and a lot of big clubs that do want number 9s as well, and Barcelona could be in for a number 9 with Lewandowski sort of getting to that age as well. Elise at Crystal Palace, Man City and Chelsea also wanted him. Look, Elise at Crystal Palace, I'd take him in a heartbeat. Nico Williams, take him in a heartbeat. Sule of, I know he's a Juventus player, but he's at Leicester, I'd take him in a heartbeat, and Bakayoko. But yeah, 100%. Elise is an absolute baller. But I don't know if he's Ten Hag's kind of player because he's more of an inside. He's more of a sort of operates in that half space. He's not like a rapid touchline winger. He's more one of those wingers that works well in the half space, a bit like Cole Palmer. But I think he's a baller. But again, I think with the wingers and the players that United are linked to, it's like, oh, I like that we're linked to this player, but actually, does this suit Ten Hag's plan? Or I like that we're linked to the striker, but actually, like, is this striker going to be an idiot coming to United when he knows he's going to get no service? Like, if I'm a young striker in football right now, even though I'm the biggest United fan ever, I would not go to United for the sake of my career. And I do worry about that as well. A lot of mixed opinions there as well, but Elise, yeah, absolute baller, Elise. Elise and Eze from Crystal Palace, take them in a heartbeat. I do like Gabe, but I don't think he'd be the best partner for Martinez. But Crystal Palace have some players, and apparently we might be raiding them. And Gabe could be a decent replacement for Varane, but the only thing that worries me is he's not super physical, and neither is Martinez. So I think I want someone that's got a bit more beef in them to partner Martinez, which is why I personally prefer Todibo, who isn't, to be honest, the best in the air and the best aerially either, but he's just got a bit more to him. If I was going to choose a partner for Martinez, it'd be a Diamond of Sporting Lisbon. And the interesting thing is, and an interesting news story that's come out, is essentially if Ten Hag goes in the summer, Manchester United obviously looked at Zidane, but he's never going to come. They looked at Enrique, but he's in employment. But United were looking at Sporting Lisbon manager and Graham Potter as the 2 most likely options if Ineos sat Ten Hag. And if the Sporting Lisbon manager brought Diamond with him, yes, please, baby. Yes, please. That's all I'm going to say on that. He would be my ideal centre-back. But the problem is, Why I'm such a big fan of Todibo is Todibo's 35 million. Diamond, you're looking at 70 million. We're looking heavily at Nasio, who's a left centre back, but I know that right centre back is seen as Manchester United's priority over left centre back as well. 2 seasons we were crying out for a winger. We got Sancho last season. We were crying out for a striker. Got Højlund. And what about spending 160 million, 10 to 15 goals? Hats off to the scouting board for that. Do you know what? I actually have sympathy with the United scouts. The Manchester United scout is being the most useless job in football because the Man United scouts go, look, this Julian Alvarez guy's a baller. He's available for 14 million. The Man United scouts go, we've looked at Anthony, but he's not worth spending more than 25 million on. The Man United scouts go pick out these wingers. They pick out the Nico Williams. They pick out these wingers. They say, look, price-wise, I wouldn't pay more than him. Recruitment go, we don't give a crap about the scouts. We're going to spend 85 million on Anthony. I actually have sympathy with those scouts at Manchester United because they actually do find a lot of good players. I don't think there's anything wrong with our scouting. I think everything that's wrong at United is with the recruitment and those that make a decision because the system isn't in place. And it's like crazy because our scouts do find people and those at recruitment, those at the top of the club, ignore the scouts. So they basically play to do nothing and they make their own decisions based off their knowledge when they don't watch football. When the scouts have been watching loads of games of football, they ignore the opinions of the scouts. I mean, look, we could definitely have better scouts, 100%. We need to upgrade our scouts. But what I'm saying is more than upgrading our scouts, we actually should listen to them a bit more. I feel like they're not listened to as well. Did you have a nice dinner, Alice? I didn't really have much of a dinner today. I'm seeing family more so tomorrow lunchtime and that. But big up everyone in the chat. Hope you did have a good Christmas dinner and stuff as well. Lopetegui wouldn't be a bad shout if we sat to mid-season. Lopetegui left Wolves because he fell out with the board because he didn't think the board at Wolves was ambitious enough. So I can't see him working under the Glazers. And as soon as the going got tough at Wolves, he gave up. And Gary Neal's come into Wolves and is doing a better job than Lopetegui did. So personally, not the biggest fan of Lopetegui as well. United have to overpay because rival clubs know we are starved for success and we need players. We have zero leverage. True, but we also have to overpay because they know we're idiots and we will overpay. If Ajax had asked for 85 million for Anthony, Man City would have walked away. Man City walked away from Declan Rice once it got over 100 million, and Declan Rice is looking like he's way worth over 100 million. He's been fantastic, but Man City walk away from players once ridiculous price tags get asked. The thing is, if Man City wanted Højlund, they would have gotten for 50 million because they would have walked away as soon as Atalanta went for over 50 million. And then Atalanta would have gone, well, actually, we can get 50 million for a guy we signed 50 million 10 months ago. We'll settle on 50 million. Atalanta got 72 million out of United. Man City would have got 85 million out of Anthony. Part of it is because clubs know United have got money in their staff for success, but they know that because of how poorly we position ourselves. It was said that Atalanta had told Højlund he can go for 50 million, and United go right in first day of negotiating and say, look, we'll buy him for 60 million. And Atalanta were thinking, well, we would have sold him for 10 million less, but let's see if we can sell him for 20 million more because Man United is stupid. And the guy that does the operations at Atalanta was the guy that sold Harry Maguire to United for 80 million. People know that we will pay the money because we haven't got intelligent people enough to figure out that actually there's probably a really good alternative out there that will be just as good for half the price, but we don't do that, and it's incredibly frustrating as well. Would you take Amorim or Potter out of the two? I'd probably go for Amorim just because I think Potter struggled at Chelsea. That is a big club, and at Chelsea he got the funds, whereas at United you're at a big club with that big pressure, but you don't have the funds. But then at the same time, I think anyone would have struggled at Chelsea, but I would probably go for the sporting manager. In my opinion, let me know who, if you were going to replace Ten Hag, who would you get? And don't say Zidane because that's not going to happen. Realistically, if you were replacing Ten Hag, who were you going to get? A lot of people would probably say Flick. I don't know if he would actually come to us, but with some level of realism, because I'd say, look, I'd replace Ten Hag with Pep Guardiola, bish bash bosh. I'd replace Ten Hag with Jurgen Klopp, bish bash bosh. But that's not going to happen. Like with realistic sense, who would you replace Ten Hag with? I mean, mine would be Klopp or Pep. I actually think Klopp would be more suited to manage our current players than Pep, but Pep is a better manager. But it would definitely be one of those two. Do smash the like button, of course. Subscribe down below if you're new as well. There's a report saying that Manchester United defender Willy Kambwala will start again tomorrow. The suggestions that Varane could be out at the next match with illness. Please, Varane, stop being ill. I did like Willy Kambwala. I did think he had a really good game, but Varane, we need him fit. We need him playing. That is important. Now, let's get into the news on John Murtough, because it has been said that John Murtough is likely to be sacked. Nagelsmann, Ruben Amorim, Hansi Flick, Carlo. Yes, Sir Alex. Yeah, good options. I don't think Carlo Ancelotti would come to United. He's reported to go to Brazil when he leaves Real Madrid. Alice, do you reckon Erik ten Hag is being controlled by the Glazers in some level? Because after the last game, he was saying that we played good, even though we didn't. I don't know. Ten Hag's post-match comments feel like they get worse and worse and worse. Like, we could lose 20-0, and I think he'd say, oh, the team played well, we were unlucky. think Ten Hag's being positive. To be honest, I think my honest opinion with Ten Hag and his post-match comments is, as soon as he says something negative in the post-match comment, there's a dressing room issue, there's a player beefing him about it. So I feel like he doesn't want to say anything negative publicly in post-match comments in case he has another Sancho situation, because apparently he fell out of Varane because he said he dropped Varane for tactical reasons. He fell out with Casemiro apparently because he said he took Casemiro because he wants to play football, and he fell out with Sancho because he said that he dropped Sancho because he didn't show the right levels in training. So I feel like Ten Hag's at this point now where pre and post match he's just lying and saying that everything's good and everything's positive, so he doesn't fall out with the players. People saying Unai Emery, he struggled at Arsenal though. But yeah, I mean, there's a few decent options there to replace Ten Hag, but I wouldn't bother replacing Ten Hag until the summer because I don't want an interim. Let's give Ten Hag till the summer, see if he can change it, see if his system improves, because we've got such big problems at United. Recruitment, the board, the scouting is a bigger problem than the manager. The incompetent players that give up is a bigger problem than the manager. Get rid of all the problems, then get rid of the manager if we feel like the manager cannot take us any further as well. Let's ask Big Ange to join. I would not say no to Ange Postecoglou joining Manchester United. I'm a big fan of them as well. No top-class manager would want to manage Manchester United team, unfortunately. Klopp, Pep wouldn't be dumb enough to leave their team and manage the shambles of a team. I agree, and Klopp and Pep both got offered the Man United job in the past and they turned it down because they did not want to work under this current ownership scheme, let alone try and work and turn around these incompetent players as well. To be fair, what choices does Ten Hag have? But it has to make do with what players are available. But Bruno's just pathetic right now. To an extent, the fact that our wingers can't even pass to our striker, I don't think it's completely on Ten Hag. I do think the quality is not good enough. Our decision making in the final third is not good enough. I think a lot of that is due to inexperience and quality. But at the same time, we've got a lot of injuries, and there isn't a lot of excuses. There is a lot of excuses that you can make for Ten Hag. But then when you're 0-0 at West Ham and you take Højlund off for Rashford and you play a winger at centre forward, when it's not Højlund's fault that he didn't touch the ball, he got no service, and then he won't take Murtough off. I think the thing with Ten Hag is, I'm Ten Hag him, I want him to succeed. There is a lot of excuses he can make, but it's his in-game management, his inability to win games, his obsession with Scott McTominay that will lose him his job, because we can clearly see this McTominay at a 10 is not working. Why is Bruno dropping deeper to accommodate McTominay as a 10? Why is Højlund coming off instead of Garnacho for Rashford when Rashford is better on the left-hand side and they have a touch of striker? There's a lot of question marks over sort of Ten Hag's in-game management choices and decisions as well. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. I'm so tired at the moment. Højlund was sick. Was Højlund taken off because he was sick? I don't know. Alice, do you think De Zerbi is the right man for the job? I think that's such a big step up from Brighton. We've seen a lot of Brighton players go to big clubs and crumble under the pressure. So I think De Zerbi needs another year at Brighton as well. Honestly, Lopetegui might work. Not a big fan, but it could work. And of course, 142 likes. Let's get 300 likes. Got nearly 600 people watching as well. People saying Casemiro coming back with Martinez soon will be a big boost for United. 100% as well. Eric Ten Hag's robotic. Eric Ten Hag, his personality-wise, isn't the best. So let me talk about Zirkzee. Let me talk about John Murtough leaving. Let me talk about the transfer news, the takeover news, and more. So we've got lots to get into. So it was said Manchester United are no longer looking at Zirkzee. However, FC Bulgaria striker Joshua Zirkzee has now moved high up their list. It said this turn from Jonathan. It was said that Jonathan Zirkzee could be open to joining Manchester United. However, they may need to sell to afford this move, but Manchester United want to move on Martial. Now, if you don't know who Joshua Zirkzee is, he's a young up-and-coming talent in Serie A. He's a striker, and he's one to keep an eye on. Manchester United reportedly looking at this guy as well. He's always been a good striker. He seems to be improving. It didn't quite go his way at Bayern, but he's gone to Bulgaria. Things look better. He's got that Kane-like centre-forward approach because he can play the ball, he can pass the ball, he's got the creativity, he can shoot and score, he's good at dribbling, he can do a lot more than just finishing. He's a Kane-like striker, he can do a bit of everything, and I think as a Martial replacement, I would not say no to Zirkzee. However, I do worry about him coming to United because I think you'll come to United as a young striker with lots of potential, you'll get no service, your goals will dry up and you lose confidence. That's what worries me. But it was said on Zirkzee about him being in good form this season. And obviously, his club is now in fourth place. Bulgaria as well. They defeated the likes of Inter, Roma, and Lazio. And Zirkzee has been very impressive. 7 goals, 2 assists this season, which is the reason a lot more serious clubs are looking at him. 22 years of age, 9 goal contributions. He's definitely got a lot better. He's definitely the Netherlands' best shot of a top number 9 to come through. I don't know how good he'd be for United. I don't know if he gets service, but 35 million release clause. I would not say no to that deal in comparison to Donny Marlin and Werner and stuff as well. SM says Marlon would be better, could play a striker on the wing. I'm not a big fan of Marlon, but I almost feel like we need someone that can play right wing or at least on the wing more than a striker, because I generally believe Højlund is competent. We've seen it in the Champions League. I generally believe Højlund is competent. He's good enough. I generally believe if Haaland was playing, he wouldn't touch the ball. So I am at the point where what Marlon has is the ability to play on the wings, which could be needed at Manchester United as well. People saying Girassy's better. I don't think he is. I really don't think he is. Would you take Amadou Onana at United, Alice? Absolutely. I think he's an absolute baller. Do you know who I wish we got? It was from your West Ham, Kudus. If only we got Kudus instead of Anthony, man. Oh, why didn't we get Kudus? He looks so good. Although he'd probably go to United and be crap. I feel like... Yawn. I feel like players just come to United and they end up being crap. I do want to talk about the John Murtough news because he is leaving Liverpool as well. I am worried about the Villa game. Yes, Benjamin Sesko is definitely a good shout. Shall we dive a little bit more into the news going about as well? So it came out today, and this was the story. And actually, I'll get this up on my screen so it's easier for you guys to see. But it's been confirmed by 3 different sources now, essentially, that it's John Murtough is expected to leave United. So the best source of information came out earlier today, and I'm going to get this up here. This was obviously by Charlotte Dunker of the, I think, Telegraph, and she said this. Let me get this up on the screen. She said John Murtough will leave his post following the rival Sergeant Ratcliffe. Now, there's been a lot of reports that Murtough was going to go with Arnold. Arnold is already gone. There's a lot of reports that Murtough wants to stay, but he was going to go. It's been confirmed today that John Murtough will leave his post following the arrival of Ratcliffe. I think that's very obvious with Blanc and Brailsford coming in and doing a big overhaul of all things at Manchester United this next month or two. I think it's very obvious Murtough is going to go. I know Arnold went by choice, but I think Murtough is going to be forced out. He didn't choose to go by choice, and he knows that his time is up at Manchester United. And now it's about how we replace Murtough. And I think with that Athletic article that came out 3 days ago, that was the final nail in the coffin for John Murtough, when he's been told not to spend more than 25 million on Anthony, and then he's the one that decides to spend 85 million when there's no one that knows who makes the final decision, John Murtough or Richard Arnold. And we wonder why Man United are so slow at transfers as well. So I think John Murtough leaving Manchester United is probably the right decision for all parties. He does want to stay. He is interested in working at United and under Ineos, but he's not been good enough. He's not a footballing person. He hasn't done his job well enough. So very much open to John Murtough leaving as well. You should do a show with Saeed. I have done a few shows with Saeed here and there, actually. So yeah, next time I do a show with Saeed, I'll share it on the YouTube so you can watch. And just think, we had Murtough and Woodward. No wonder we are where we are. Yeah, I mean, John Murtough is definitely an improvement on Ed Woodward, but he's John Murtough. The difference between John Murtough and Ed Woodward is this: both know nothing about football, both are crap at their job, but John Murtough wants to be more successful than Ed Woodward does. John Murtough actually wants this to work, whereas Ed Woodward just never gave a crap. Is Paul Mitchell coming in? I don't know. So we've been linked to a few people coming in. Ashworth and Mitchell are the names we've mostly been linked to, but I don't think these journalists know as much as they've been letting off. These journalists have been saying for a while the Ratcliffe deal will be announced next week. The Ratcliffe deal will be announced next week, but none of these journalists said the deal was going to be announced Christmas Eve, or none of these journalists said this deal was going to be announced the day before Christmas or the weekend before Christmas. All these journalists have been saying since October, it'll be a week, it'll be a few days, it'll be a week. Kept saying it'd be a week, and it just didn't end up being a week. So sometimes you just think, well, these journalists are saying it's going to be Paul Mitchell and it's going to be Dan Ashworth, and Romano is saying Blanc is done. I believe Blanc is done and Brailsford is done because they're actually at Old Trafford doing work now. But it's like a lot of these journalists will be saying, oh, yeah, United are in for this, United are doing that, United want Dan Ashworth, United want this person, that person, and you just don't know if you want that person or this person, because you look at how wrong some of the journalism has been when it comes to sort of the takeover and how they kept saying it was going to be done next week, then the week after, all of that kind of stuff, that you just don't know what Manchester United are going to do. You don't know. And you don't know what they're saying. Laura Whitwell, man of the match. I literally just completely waffled on for a second. You know, when you start saying something and you forget what you're saying. So I don't know if I said anything that made any sense for like a minute there, but I completely forgot what I was going to say as well. I think I was saying something about recruitment as well. How about Michael Edwards? I like Michael Edwards. Oh, yeah, I was saying that Man United's reporting that the takeover has been so dodgy that when they say Paul Mitchell's very likely to join United and Dan Ashworth's very likely to join United, that's great news, but you have to take it with a pinch of salt, because this whole takeover time we're getting told Qatar was close to joining, and we're getting told the takeover would be announced this week, and it was never announced that week. And I do feel like a lot of people don't know what's going on with the takeover, and there's a lot of sort of guesswork as well. Doogie, Friedman and Mitchell is the most consistent. I very much doubt Ashworth will come from Newcastle. Big up Joe in the chat there. I somewhat agree with that. I think Mitchell as well would be one of the best options, but the question mark is, would Dan Ashworth be willing to leave the Newcastle project, which is more exciting than the Man United project for Man United, but Newcastle can match that kind of money as well. Talking of form, why do we let Alanga go? Well, one of the reasons Alanga's been good is because Forest don't come up against low blocks and Alanga can actually run in behind. The second reason we let Alanga go is because, to be honest, I don't think he was quite good enough. However, looking at our squad right now, he'd be our best attacker. He's having a better season than Greenwood. He's having a better season than all the loanies in attack. Alanga would be our best attacker at the club right now, but would he just fall into that United ship? Like, he's been really good at Forest, but had he stayed at United, with Alanga just being that United ship playing poor? Maino Amrabat Eriksson for the Villa game tomorrow. I agree with you there, Graham. That's very much the front three I want to see. I do want to get more into the news. So, it was said John Murtough will leave his role at Manchester United following the arrival of Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Then Tom Morgs came out and said that Sir Dave Brailsford and Jean-Claude Blanc will be at the Carrington and Old Trafford next month, watching United's football operations in work. A focus on recruitment and scouting is a major priority, and a sporting director will be appointed eventually. So United looking at the recruitment and scouting, then looking at getting a sporting director, and want to see how football operations is run, want to watch it for a month, see how it's run before they replace those people as well. It was then said the Glazers will still be consulted during full board meetings on budgets, but decisions all around the footballing stuff will be done by Ratcliffe, and multiple sources have confirmed Ratcliffe will have control to make footballing decisions. It said although David Brailsford and Jean-Claude Blanc, Reece and Nevin's improvement is significant, Sir Jim Ratcliffe will be very much the real power at United. Running Manchester United is a lifelong dream for him as well. So Sir Jim's going to be the ultimate runner, which means if things go wrong, Sir Jim will get the blame, not the Glazers pulling the strings behind him about how much he could spend or not. And then it was said that Julian Ward had emerged as a surprise candidate for being the next sporting director of United. I don't know enough about Julian Ward to talk about this guy and why he's the next sort of Manchester United sporting director target as well. But we do know that he did formerly work at Liverpool and he didn't do the best role. He got showed up by Michael Edwards. So personally, myself, I want to see Michael Edwards or Dan Ashworth come in and do that role. Someone that I'm a bit more familiar with that I know has done a very good job, rather than the Liverpool reject as well. 195 likes, guys. We've got 600 people watching. Let's go for 300 likes, so do hit that like button as well. Maino Amrabat Eriksson for Villa game tomorrow. That could work as well. The wingers need Kvaratskhelia and Elise. Need creative player. Yeah, I think we need a direct winger that's going to run at people like Rashford and Garnacho, and then we need a creative winger that would be like Sancho or someone. We need a fast direct winger, and we need a creative winger to make things happen, give the defence two different things to speak about, but unfortunately, we don't do that. Now, I do want to get into my lineup for Manchester United versus West Ham for you guys. So do let me know your lineup down below as well. And do let me know your thoughts on John Murtough being sacked as well. So let me get my chosen 11 up here. And we can get the lineup up on the screen as well. The wingers need... I read that one out, didn't I? Merry Christmas, everybody in the chat. Hope everyone had a good Christmas as well. Screaming on Christmas Day, summarizes your hard work all year. Thank you very much, Desmond. Appreciate the chat. I mean, I'm not a big Christmassy person. I couldn't really do anything today. So I thought, why not do a live stream? Because I'd just be lying in bed. And I thought, we'll just talk about Manchester United as well. But big up everybody in the chat. I wanted to share my screen to talk about the Villa game. I'm going to show what I'm going to do. I'm going to show some potential possibilities as well. So I think that Ten Hag will play this 4-3-3, and I think he'll have Dalot back. I think Wan-Bissaka had a very good game actually versus West Ham, but I think he'll put Dalot back there. I mean, he didn't have a very good game. We did lose, but he was one of our better players. I think Shaw goes back in at left back. He might play left centre back, but I'm going to hope that Varane is back because we are going to get to the Varane news. And then it will be Evans because all the other centre-backs are out. I'm hoping we will see Amrabat here, but I don't think we will. I think we're going to see Maino, McTominay, Bruno again, but I'm hoping we're going to see Amrabat here. We're going to see Maino here. If it let me fill it on, I'm going to see Bruno here. That's what I'd like to see. And if worst-case scenario, I'd drop Amrabat for Eriksson and play Cobby in the deeper role. But I think in a game like Aston Villa, where they've scored a lot of goals this season, Aston Villa are one of the form sides, despite looking poor at the weekend. If you're playing a side like Aston Villa, if I'm Manchester United, I'm seriously thinking, well, I'm probably best off doing something like that, like I did versus Liverpool, but have Bruno in that role instead of McTominay and actually drop McTominay because he's not good enough. I would include Anthony at right wing just because of his work rate, and I would probably go with Rashford at left wing, and if his work rate's poor, I bring on Garnacho and Højlund at striker. This is what I would do here, so let me get this up here. Knowing Ten Hag, he'll play Rashford at striker and ruin it, but that would be my lineup for Manchester United ahead of the West Ham game, 100% as well. Add Eriksen for me and bench Bruno. I mean, personally, I'd keep Bruno in the lineup despite him not being good. This is my lineup for the Aston Villa game. If we were playing Sheffield United or someone a lot poorer, I'd actually swap Amrabat for Eriksen and have Maino deeper with Eriksen and Bruno ahead of him. But because it's a difficult game against Villa, I want two in the pivot. I want it very secure. I want it very defensive. I want it to shut up shots. So I'd actually do Amrabat, Maino, Bruno. I think Ten Hag will go over Anthony because of his work rate. The big question mark will be over if Rashford plays or not. I think the rest of the team is pretty expected. I think McTominay will play over Amrabat, but it is a big game against Villa. Very big game as well. But Eriksen's very good in the games that you dominate possession against the lower mid-table sides, but against an upper table side where it's going to be high intensity, I think this is the kind of game where Eriksen could trouble as well. I'm going to sleep early instead of watching if McTominay starts in midfield. It does feel that way. Every time McTominay starts in midfield, you feel like there's going to be one less man on the pitch and you're kind of screwed as well. So that's what I do as well. Bruno's game is getting heavily affected as he has to drop deep because of McTominay, so I hope Amrabat will be there. Yeah, 100%. Bruno's roles have to change and he has to adapt to other players. Bruno is captain. Bruno is the main man at United, but he's having to adapt the way that he plays his style to accommodate McTominay, who the manager desperately wanted sold in the summer. That's when you question Ten Hag. That's when you go, it makes no sense. You wanted this player openly sold in the summer, and now he's your main man. Now Varane's having to change positions. It makes crazy stuff as well. Rashford hasn't shown anything to bring him back. I agree. 100% agree. And Ten Hag will start his favourite. Says Gaz, he probably will. And his new favourite is Scott McTominay. I don't know who Ten Hag's favourites are, but it's frustrating. That would be my lineup. But I generally think what they'll do is they'll put McTominay in here for Amrabat and they'll probably put Garnacho in for Rashford. And I think that's what Manchester United expect the lineup to be. Listen, people, please do hit that like button if you haven't already. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. In today's video, we're talking about the reports that have come out around sort of John Murtough leading Manchester United, the latest on the takeover, a few plans coming out, Manchester United looking at Zirkzee, Manchester United transfer targets, and sort of just a general chat about United. I will be back tomorrow morning just talking all things United in terms of sort of the preview to the West Ham game. I'll actually do a proper preview to the game tomorrow, and then we'll obviously do a watch on for the game tomorrow. But please do hit that like button. Do scroll down below if you're new. I am going to sum up the live stream here. I do apologise it's a short live stream, but it's Christmas Day. I'm absolutely knackered. I do normally go for live for 45 minutes. This will be 42 minutes. But thank you everyone for watching. Smash that. Oh, no, wait. I didn't get into my last story. Let me tell one more story before I wrap up, because there's one thing I wanted to get into, which was on Rafa Varane, and then I will wrap up in my last story as well. So let me quickly load this up here. But there's obviously been a lot of reports, rumours, suggestions that Rafa Varane has this problem at United and he's fallen out at United and he's unprofessional. But that's not the case. Rafa Varane has actually been one of the few players rallying people to get behind Erik ten Hag as well. And it was actually said on Rafa Varane this. And this was said by L'Equipe. Aware of his difficulties in regularly playing matches every 3 days, Rafa Varane is painfully experiencing his current downgrade in the Man United hierarchy. However, he remains involved on a daily basis and advises his younger teammates. It said Real Madrid have not had direct contact with Varane's camp despite several Spanish media reporting potential interest. If an opportunity has presented itself, the French will make no secret of the fact he would think about it. Rafa Varane's on charge brush aside the future of him going to Saudi. So said Varane's not interested to go to Saudi. He would ever think about going back to Real Madrid, particularly if he's not playing. But Varane's obviously upset that he's not playing, especially because, he feels frustrated that he's not been able to make himself available to play a match every 3 days. But he did say about Varane, he does help on a daily basis, help his young teammates. And we got told that Varane, Bruno, Maguire, Shaw were the four players that was always helping the youth side, always backing the manager publicly and trying to keep the dressing room under control. And while I think something did go on with Varane and Ten Hag, there's no doubt in my mind that Varane is someone that doesn't cause dressing room issues or anything like that as well. Is Varane fit? We'll find out tomorrow morning, I think, quite quickly if he's fit as well. Varane and Martinez were the bedrock of good form last season, I agree. And even Casemiro as well. But listen, people, be out everybody in the chat. Please do hit that like button. Subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.